Hi, Sangeeta. My name is Hunter Walker. I'm a reporter with Talking Points Memo. The Boston police scanner has identified your brother as a potential suspect in the marathon bombing, and these reports are starting to spread. I wanted to see if you had any information or anything you wanted to say. You can reach me at 917-363.
Hi, I got it. Say hi.
Sunny was my baby brother. I literally carried him around, and he jokingly and then seriously called me mom for many years. I was his protector.
Watching whales and dolphins.
People loved him. Kids loved him. Teachers loved him.
We were a family of 5 growing up that was with many very loud voices. He was the youngest, and he was always along for the ride.
A little bit of a star in the family, being the little one. All of the photos and memories I have of Sunil growing up, he was smiling, laughing.
He took a lot of joy out of joining in the team and doing, whatever we were doing together, and laughing at all of the little silly things along the way.
Sangeeta and Sunil were my best of friends because we spent tremendous amounts of time together. He was way more creative than I was, and he could come up with little boats and ships and stuff. This truck with its racing cars was one of Sunil's absolute favorites. Once it kind of got all set like this, we didn't really play with them anymore, but you could just take a look just like this, and all the memories flood back. I mean, as is happening right now, very quickly.
This is Richard Penchak from the Associated Press. I'm trying to ascertain information about your son, Neal. We're being told that he might have been involved in the bombings at the Boston Marathon. Obviously, if you know about the Associated Press with all over the world. My phone number is 212-621-79.
Next tune we're going to play here is It's Never Over Till the Fat Lady Swings.
Sunil and I always had this, this sort of fundamental disagreement about what it meant to study music.
And this features Sunil on alto. Michael King, who was playing trombone, is now going to play piano.
Sunil's philosophy was that you should find one thing and then study it and dive into it and do nothing else and, become the very best player at it.
He loved music. Music was his passion.
That was really a blessing, the music, because that was Sunil's thing.
That's Sunil playing his first chair in district band, which is All of Philadelphia. He had such a good sound. He played really well. He was never a student that you had to ask to practice. He would just come in, always prepared or more. I'd give 1 or 2 pieces to work on. He'd come in with 3 or 4.
He found real solace, peace in music. He wanted to make it really perfect, and his music was beautiful. As he started Brown University undergraduate, he moved into philosophy along with music.
Philosopher from the day he started. He always thought about the meaning of everything.
My family has a long history here at Brown. And while we all chose to come to Brown, we all took very different paths while we were here. And that was one of the things that made it so special. I was very lucky that when we went to college, we overlapped for a year. And it was amazing to see him in his first year in college. He took more interesting classes than I was taking. He did better in school than I was doing. I'm confident that by the time I left Brown, more people knew his name on campus than they did mine.
All throughout college, my friends and I have had different moments and times when we would feel conflicted or at a crossroads, didn't know what to do. Every time I would talk to Sunil, at least about these kinds of things, his response was always, well, what makes you happy? Are you happy doing this? And if not, well, why are you doing it? Like, it was just always so simple. It's just like, why are you putting yourself through this then?
Good morning, Mrs. Tripathi. My name is Stacey Samuel. I'm calling from CNN, the Washington, D.C. Bureau. I'm watching all of these things that are happening, and we're following them in the greater Boston area, and just wanted to offer an opportunity to just talk. My number, if you'd like to reach out to me, is 202-522.
He, kicked our butt in every, in high school and then in college with grades and test scores, and did so effortlessly, just in an embarrassing way. So I was always very jokingly, kind of spiteful of the ease with which he could pass through school. At the beginning of his junior year, school started to be really hard for him, and that's not him.
He was telling me that his schoolwork wasn't really exciting anymore, that he found he didn't have appetite for it. And I was trying to suggest to him that lack of appetite, that flatness that comes for work, might not be the work. It might be depression.
It started seeping into things that he cared more and more about, like music, like, being a full-time student, things that most 20-year-old students have the time and the energy and the spirit to do.
Hey, Sang, I just got your text. I'm so sorry. No, I meant to call you today, and then just like 45 minutes ago, I realized it and I started writing you an email, but then I haven't finished it. Didn't finish it yet.
It's hard because you're watching somebody struggle and you just want to fix it.
By the end of his junior year, we were just trying to help him sort of get through it. He said that was what he had to do. And he finished, and he did fine. We were totally behind him and taking a leave. In fact, he could not go back to school. I was really worried. really, really worried. He said to me at one point, he said, I can't sleep. I lay in bed and all I do is think and think and think and think, and I can't stop thinking.
I could see that this was not a weakness of his. This was something he could not control.
And that started a whole series of loving interventions and scared interventions to try to figure out how we can help.
But Sunil was not receptive to going for help. Period. Would not do it.
I said to Sunil, part of the reason we are pushing so hard to get you to be seen by a psychologist, to contemplate medication, to do whatever, is because there's risk in this illness that can be very hard to assess.
Sangeeta, this is Nancy Bent at Channel 5 News in Boston. It's 3 in the morning. I certainly don't expect you to have your cell phone near you. This is a vital call about Sunil. Apparently, we're hearing that he may, I have no confirmation and we're not reporting anything, may be a person of interest in the marathon connection from Monday. And I'm hoping you can call me and we can talk. I'm not quoting you.
We talked about interventions, and the risk was so high that he might just run away. Everything we said or did with him, we were weighing what's the potential benefit against the potential risk, and we didn't know.
It became increasingly clear that he wasn't able to kind of receive all of the love and the help that the world was giving to him. It couldn't penetrate. And I think that was really hard for him and for us.
Hey, Dad. It's Neal. Just calling back on you. Okay, bye.
It was unimaginable to me that it was so serious. He felt that he would overcome his depression.
We started actually seeking professional help to help us brainstorm because we felt like our love was necessary but not sufficient to fix all the pain.
We got a call from his friend who was concerned because she had seen him Friday and wasn't able to get in touch with him Friday late night or Saturday. Sunday, finally, she went to his apartment and all his stuff was sitting there, including his wallet, his phone.
He is so reliable in the way he communicates with people we love. I knew something was really, really wrong.
We were in a state of absolute shock driving from here to Providence.
Seeing the skyline felt very terrifying. We were going to see this whole other side of Providence that hadn't existed before. This was always the worst nightmare that we never really wanted to talk about with each other.
We checked into a hotel and then we took a walk towards the water. It was very cold and water seemed to be very uninviting, pretty scary.
When we were walking the river looking for him, I just knew that we were too small to solve this alone, and the world was too big, and it was too lonely, and it was too dark, and it was too cold.
The first 48 hours of the search were frantic. The emotion was just incredibly intense, and the adrenaline was flowing.
We met with the detective of Providence Police, and then we met with chief of police and other individuals to kind of map out a plan for starting his search.
This case was a little bit different. We knew that this was not a runaway, it was an older kid. And we quickly learned from the family that, he had some struggles.
This was all brand new to us. And as the police will tell you, most missing people are found within the first 48 hours.
The crucial part is getting as much intelligence as we can. Where would he go? What did he like to do? What did he not like to do? What were some of the issues that he was facing? Has he just kind of walked off the grid a little bit?
He had been getting pressure to get help, which he did not want to do. And so there was the feeling that maybe he just took off because he just needed a break. He needed a break from all of us. That was my hope.
If someone does not want to be found, then it makes it very difficult for us to go find them.
After several days, the police started to say to us, it's going to be a waiting game.
There's an arc that a lot of adult missing person cases have, doing a quick search in the first 48 hours for information, getting a photo out there within local media, and then kind of leaving saying, we'll call you if we hear anything. I said, you don't know our family, no way.
We weren't going anywhere. We couldn't. Nothing else was important.
We did what any family would want done, which is figure out how to get as much energy and tools and resources against the goal of finding our brother.
Brown University opened up the Gardner House to our entire family and anyone else that was there to help. Quickly, it just became kind of home base.
Anyone walking through those doors into Gardner House and seeing Ground Zero and seeing this operation and listening to the family and hearing about Sonny and what this meant couldn't really turn away, which is why I couldn't really turn away either.
A whole bunch of recycling.
You felt instant camaraderie with people who would wander in and say, what can I do? And you were instantly their friend, their coworker.
We had maps up on every wall, we had contact lists.
We would sit around the table and decide what the tasks were that we needed to do that day and split them up.
We have organizational meetings every day, and we have assignments, and we have to pick teams. What are you good at? And what length of time are you going to be here?
We had nooks and crannies teams. We had people who were looking in places where people could go and just curl up.
It was very intense. It was very emotional, but we would pretty much set a lot of the emotions aside so that we could focus on the tasks.
Walking the river, that was one of the harder tasks to get. You're walking a river and you can't think about what you're looking for. You just have to think, I'm doing this for Sunil.
The search was the toughest I've ever been on.
Reason being, the cold weather played a factor. The water temperature played a factor. Every day we'd plan something different. This is what we're gonna do. Akhil had asked us a few times to go, further out. Every day he asked us to go further out, we would just take that little more chunk, and go further out.
We prioritized the places we would search. Every time law enforcement said, we'll call you, we said, no, let's schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 9. We'll bring donuts.
The family quickly realized that we don't have the manpower to put the number of hours in that they wanted. So they put together this very impressive investigation.
We were searching anywhere and everywhere. Bridges, abandoned buildings, parks, train stations, bus stations, homeless shelters. We went to soup kitchens. Signs that said, "Do not enter." Perfect. That's where we're gonna go.
That train, once you got on it, it was really impossible to get off of. And it was driven by love for their child. I would not ever stop if it was my child.
The circle of people who really felt like this was they were on this team, was quite palpable. My mom would walk down the street and people would hug her.
It meant the world to the family to have us all galvanized around supporting them and lending a hand in the search. The campus was on a united front around how can we best support this family in their time of need.
We felt like our best shot at finding Sunil was to be public, to get his face out there, to get all over Facebook. It was our only shot.
Despite how uncomfortable it was to take our personal childhood and smatter it across Facebook, we just knew that this is what we needed to do to get his story out.
I love you. I hope you're doing well. Can't wait to see you.
Hi, Sunil. It's Aunt Nina.
Dear Sunil,
Can't wait to see you back.
I want you back.
And let's keep
I love you so much.
I love you.
Hey, Sunny, we miss you.
Hey, Sunny. My second year classes are over. Can't wait to tell you all about it.
Hey, dude. We miss you.
We've been having a slumber party in Providence for the past 2 weeks waiting for you, and everyone's been here. Mom, Dad, Ben, Darshan, Uncle Puneet. We're all here and we're all waiting for you. Come home soon. We love you.
Come back soon.
I miss you, dear. Love to see you soon.
The Facebook part and social media part was absolutely uplifting. When we did a posting and we saw a lot of response, it carried us. It carried us.
We had built a story around Facebook itself, around social media, and real media picked that up.
And as police and the FBI continue the search,
we're trying to spread the word. The FBI agent said the more eyes, the better.
a mother clings to hope, never letting go.
We have to be hopeful, and we're not going to stop.
Now we are working the latest developments on the search for a missing Brown University student. 22-year-old Sunil Tripathi has not been seen in more than a week. Tonight, his family continues to ask the public for help tracking him down.
Now, if you have any tips for police, you're asked to call the Providence Police. And if you'd like to help in the search, they've set up a Facebook page called Help Us Find Sunil Tripathi. And they say they've already received 250,000 hits.
In a 30-second news clip, we were hitting thousands of households with his name, a description of him, where he went missing and when he went missing.
They hope the release of a new YouTube video will be the key to finding him safely.
We knew that media was a tool, that they had an interest, and that there was a place where our interest and their interest aligned. And so we kept trying to figure out what that sweet spot is.
Anytime you need to come back, the floor is yours to...
Every day that there was no news came with a roller coaster of emotions, from being very hopeful that no news was good news, to just being very frightened that no news meant that we were still there and we were still looking.
we talked about the fact that he left to go somewhere and that it had to be on some camera somewhere.
There are lots of cameras. There were films from 80-some cameras. We focused on 3 or 4 cameras that are near and about his apartment. And as we looked through the film, we did see him at 1:34 a.m. on first camera.
There's a moment in the film where he crosses by a car and he kind of waves at the car because the car let him go. We all knew that's how Sunny walks. When it's somebody you know, you know.
And then we followed him on 4 other cameras on various blocks.
And then we wanted so bad to see him returning because he was walking away from the house.
But we never saw him return.
You know, when you sit back at the end of the night and you see him walking slowly down the street in the middle of the night in the cold, it was really scary. We did the same walk, and I remember feeling scared, feeling alone, and you know, it's this big, dark, cold world, and I was picturing in my head Sunil doing this a couple weeks earlier, and I mean, it still destroys me.
It was a hard weekend. This was the 1-month marker to Sunny's disappearance, and nobody cared anymore. Nobody cared in the media. Nobody cared in some of the law enforcement partners. There were no new leads. We had dug everything dry, and there was nothing.
Sangeeta and Ravi were going to take a break and go to support a friend of theirs who was running in the marathon.
One of Ravi's friends who had been with us almost the entire time, and we wanted to be there for him.
We were right at the spot where they stopped the rest of the runners. We saw police running, driving, biking.
Runners were stopped, and they were in extreme pain, and they were very cold.
I have like a very vivid picture of 4 police officers hop into a cab and have it peel off toward the finish line.
We were just all so shaken, and it just felt like tragedy on top of tragedy on top of tragedy for so many people.
Since Monday's bombings, the FBI and our law enforcement partners have been working around the clock and are fully committed to investigating this matter to bring those responsible to justice. Today, we are enlisting the public's help to identify the two suspects.
On Thursday afternoon, we saw that the FBI released, pictures of the suspects.
They are identified as Suspect 1 and Suspect 2. They appear to be associated. Suspect 1 is wearing a dark hat. Suspect 2 is wearing a white hat.
I really remember thinking, I'm glad that this investigation is progressing. I hope that it can get resolved sooner rather than later. National news. Her first question to me was, have you been following the Boston incident at all? Her next question was, have you seen the pictures of the suspects? And I said, yeah, I have. Do you think you recognize either of them? And I was like, nope.
I went on the Facebook page and I started seeing different posts and threats and stuff, and Rav said, just take them all down, take them all down.
This is not just one or two comments that would make Mom cry. It progressed to having as many laptops open as possible and deleting every single post that were coming more and more frequently. I jumped over to Reddit and to Twitter. It almost felt like a case study in mob mentality, in virtual mob mentality.
We've never seen a situation like this. This is an extraordinary situation. The authorities are asking for the public's help. People are sharing photos. A lot of people were coming to Reddit to find out what the latest was.
Reddit is a social network that is split up into different domains, and they call those things subreddits.
There was a subreddit that was created called Find the Boston Bombers. Someone in the Boston subreddit posted that they thought one of the photos the FBI released looked like this, missing Brown University student. That post was removed because it It, clearly broke our rules about personal information. With journalists and media and just people who were hungry for information, scouring Twitter and Reddit and other places for any sort of information, it got picked up and that link got shared.
Sunil Tripathi was trending. It was out of our control at that point, and that was devastating.
In the days leading up to the misidentification, people were writing about it. I wrote stuff about it. People were saying, we're pointing out this is a very real possibility to misidentify a real person. And then they did it. It actually happened. It was a train wreck that could have been avoided.
People were saying, how could you raise a terrorist?
What started off as people saying, this image and your brother look the same, became, this image is your brother, became, how are you providing a cover for your brother to do this?
It was constant, and it was hateful and nasty, and it was on Reddit, and it was on Twitter, and it was everywhere, and it was spoken with confidence.
We had seen and intentionally used and thought of social media as a friend, as a tool. We saw the evil side of social media take off.
Someone claims they heard his name and another person's name on the police scanner.
This idea of these two people as being the Boston bombers just immediately spread on Twitter so fast it was almost unbelievable.
All hell broke loose.
It was a really scary, vulnerable feeling. I mean, people were saying to us, that we had set the whole thing up, that we were terrorists. It was just really scary. I couldn't even look. I couldn't look at that photo of Sunil parallel to that suspect. Couldn't even look at it.
We were really worried that if Sunil was somewhere, if he had had a break and just walked away and was somewhere, that this would break his life.
We unpublished the Facebook page because we couldn't keep it clean of comments.
Ms. Tripathi, my name is Pete Santilli. I am a host of the Pete Santilli talk show, very popular one. We are now on the air with live reports. Sunil Tripathi's name has been used over the Boston Police Department scanners as the suspect number 2 in the Boston Marathon bombing. There are some anomalies that we would like to discuss with you. For instance, the Facebook page was taken down at 11 p.m. For Sunil Tripathi. We're kind of concerned about that, being that a police officer was shot at 10:30. My number, I'm going to give it to you. It is 8.
Very quickly bounced back up out of Twitter and into blogs and news sites and other places as everyone tried to capitalize on the traffic that they knew would come from having that name in a headline really quickly.
2:30 in the morning, I had gotten a phone call from a television network asking if I had heard of Sunil Tripathi.
Around 3 o'clock, I got one of those heart-stopping phone calls from my editor, and he said, explain the situation and asked, take a look at the pictures. What do you think?
And they asked me if I was available to go to the house and see if anybody there was willing to talk, if he was home. And to see, what was going on in the neighborhood.
My editor suggested that I go over to his parents' house, which wasn't too far from my office.
Pitch black, TV lights are on to light up the front door. More crews are showing up, more television crews are showing up. The Associated Press showed up. There was a couple of other international news media types that showed up. I can't totally remember what the sign said, but it was something like, "War is not the answer," is over the front door of the house. And you're thinking, maybe this guy is the Boston bomber, but you don't know. Knock a couple times, no answer. Everybody's got their cell phones out, they're looking at the picture, then they look at a picture that they find on Google of him, and they're looking at Twitter, and they're looking at Facebook, and they're trying to figure out, is it him? Does it look like him? Do we think it's him? Where's the family? Where's he at?
There was none of the usual things that you would expect. There was no FBI, there was no police waiting for a search warrant. There was none of that going on. No one carrying boxes out of the house, computers, nothing. It was dark. There was just the "War is not the answer" sign on the front door and a line of TV trucks waiting for something to happen.
Decisions were being made basically based on Reddit, on Twitter, on Facebook. Mainstream media, to me, was always well above that.
Do have some names for you, some names to match those faces that the FBI gave us a little earlier. The first one, his name is Sunil Tripathi. He's been missing now for about 3 weeks. His family even asking his whereabouts, trying to get some information on where he is. The second man, Mike Mulugeta, no information on him, I'm sorry to say, nothing that's come out just yet.
Mike Mulugeta is the suspect who has been shot and killed during a shootout with police. The second suspect, his name is Sunil Tripathi. He was seen at a 7-Eleven last night.
After we worked so hard to get their attention, this one image on a computer screen, it got their attention.
Law enforcement usually serves as the brakes to come forward with the voice that says, yes, no, maybe. And we didn't have that night. And that train just kept barreling down the tracks. And it kept getting faster and faster.
We now have unconfirmed reports that the men have been identified, 2 young men, one of whom's been missing for the past month. He is Sunil Tripathi, a 22-year-old
When it all came around that Sunil's name was actually being thrown out there as one of the suspects, I got some phone calls. Hey, did you hear the kid you're looking for? He's involved in the bombings. I was like, there's no way. There's just no way.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Patrick Walters. I'm a reporter with the Associated Press in Philadelphia. It's about 5:20 on Friday morning. I was calling to see if you had any information. I know Sunil Tripathi.
Hi, this is Judy Thompson with CNN. I would be so grateful for a call back. This is Robin Mazzoli at Bloomberg News.
Hi, my name is Milton Valenti. I'm a reporter with the Boston Globe.
Judy, this is Bridget Murphy. I'm calling you from the Associated Press in Boston. We're wondering if you've heard anything new about Sunny. There's a lot of police action in the Boston area, and someone has suggested that you might be connected to your son. Hi, Judy. My name is Elisa. I'm calling from ABC News New York. This is Amanda. I'm calling from CNN in Atlanta. Just hoping you can give me a
I had over 58 missed calls and voicemails between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
I'm sorry to bother you at this time. I wouldn't unless I thought it was urgent. But I was hoping to talk to someone from the Tripathi family.
And I was watching all the calls and watching the area codes. It was literally network after network after network. My phone was on the hardwood floor and it was just vibrating. I didn't know if it would stop. I didn't know if it would stop.
everybody I know, my brother and my sister in India, was getting calls.
My mother kept wanting to pick up her phone because she said, what if it's Sunil? And I said, it's not Sunil.
It was night and it was dark and Sunil was not with us. And his name was all over the media. And the phone was ringing off the hook. It was a night out of hell.
Hi, Sangeeta. My name is Christian Winthrop. I'm calling from Newport Buzz. It seems that perhaps your brother Sunil is involved in incidents in Charlestown, Massachusetts this evening. I was hoping that I could speak to you about it. I'm sorry that certain this is probably really difficult for you and for your family, so my apologies. But if you could call me.
There was some discussion as to whether or not he was involved. So federal agents, along with Providence Police, were dispatched to his house, his last known location, which was in the city of Providence, to see if he was in fact home. We knew this family so well by this time that there was no way any of us believed that he was involved in any way. But we have to go check it out. We have to investigate every lead that comes into us, especially with an incident such as the bombing in Boston.
And then came the FBI coming to our house to show us, not publicly released pictures of the suspects so that we could confirm that it was not Sunil. And while our contact with the FBI, who we had worked with for weeks at that point and who knew us well, reassured us that he was confident that, Sunil was not involved in any way. It was further troubling.
We have the names, although there's an ambiguity about the spelling of the last name here that we're trying to resolve. But we're told that they're brothers. One is 19 and one
is... The FBI released the names of the two suspects, which were clearly not Sunil.
Past year. His first name, this is the man with the white hat, is Dzhokhar, D-Z-H-O-K-A.
The endless phone calls and text messages that were still coming in from the night before stopped. All I could think of is just a really sad reflection on this segment of our society. And the only thing to do was to reach out and say, hey, we're people and we're here and we're actually still looking for Sunil.
A tremendous and painful amount of attention has been cast on our
beloved Sunil Tripathi in the past 12 hours. We have known unequivocally all
along that neither individual suspected as responsible for the Boston Marathon bombings was Sunil.
We are grateful to all of you who have followed us on Facebook, Twitter,
and Reddit, supporting us over the recent hours. Now more than ever, our greatest strength comes from your enduring support.
We thank all of you who have reached out to our family and ask that you continue to raise awareness
and to help us find our gentle, loving, and thoughtful Sunil.
We did have people write on the Facebook page afterwards, apologizing profusely, saying that they had gotten caught into it and that they were sorry.
It was remarkable. The next day, Ravi and Sangeeta had decided to go back to all of the media who had called us all night long.
Everybody who called us at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., at 5 a.m., radio talk show hosts, the AP, every single journalist, local affiliates, national networks, all of the morning shows, we wanted to call them all back. And our message was very simple. It was that we're still here and Sunil is still missing.
This family had just been put through hell with what went on in social media and how Sonny's name was tied to the Boston bombings, but they didn't hesitate. They turned around and they turned it into a positive. They contacted us all again saying, he's still missing. We want to tell his story. Here's more information.
It's obviously been a harrowing few weeks for you. He disappeared on March the 16th. Have you any idea what may have happened to him or why he disappeared?
Our family and friends have been working tirelessly night and day, looking everywhere for him, getting the word out alongside the police-led investigation. And we've just been looking and working everywhere and just praying that Sunil is okay.
There were reports, Ravi, that he suffered from depression. Is that true?
That weekend, we just put one little picture on Facebook. It was the 4 of our family members with hand messages to Sunil. And all these people who wrote little condolence notes on Facebook, we said, send us a picture and then go find somebody and actually reach out to them.
People just started sending us pictures, and it was overwhelming and beautiful and gave us some sort of hope in the world again.
Within 48 hours, we had over 350, 400 photographs of people with their hands, their children with their hands from all over the world.
After the misidentification of Sunil, we thought it very important to bring people together in order for a huge campus-wide launch of the Lend a Hand campaign. So getting people to be out on the tables on the main green, writing kind remarks or prayers or wishes or song lyrics as a sign of solidarity.
The more people we talked to about Sunil and about what was happening in his life, the more stories we heard from people of all ages. People who knew people who struggled a lot or who are struggling, or people who are struggling every single day. And it started to just feel like this was so much bigger. We felt like there was so much more to do with that energy.
A call came from one of the police officers saying that, could he stop by the house?
The ride over there is a short distance. It's not that far. And one, I couldn't get there fast enough because I didn't want them to see it on the news. And two, when I got there, it's like, okay, how do you do this now?
There was like 4 or 5 of them. And, as soon as you see 4 or 5, I knew. I looked at one of the cops and I just said, this isn't good. And he said, no, it's not good.
Medical examiners in Rhode Island today are expected to identify a body recovered in the Providence River. Authorities say it's very possible that it may be that of former Brown University student Sunil Tripathi, wrongly accused accused of being one of the Boston Marathon bombers. The 22-year-old has been missing since mid-
One of my best memories of him was playing a duet in jazz band with him. It was Georgia on My Mind. He was very good. He was the greatest brother that I could ever imagine. He instilled in me a love that I don't know I will ever find anywhere else. He defined loyalty, he defined love for me. So many people.
I tried to make it a backstory in my head as we tried to begin grieving as a family. But things on the internet last forever, and that I'm very aware of. So Sunil being tied to Boston will always be searchable. And that is something that's almost incomprehensible.
I hate that Sunil's name will always be tied to this. Because he was the most gentle kid. For you to Google his name and know that they will always come up together. And it makes me so mad because he was such a private person and we went public because it was our only shot.
Social media, what I like about it and what I don't like about it is that it can't be controlled. I think that's a democratizing thing, and I love that. It can be a place for, as we saw within a matter of hours, just a completely unsubstantiated attack on an individual.
Redditors, as they call themselves, were self-consciously interested in proving that their platform could do something that old media couldn't do, that established media couldn't do, and that no one else in the world could do.
I don't think Reddit was responsible for everything that happened, but we have a responsibility, and we could have, maybe there are things we could have done that would have stopped or limited or changed the situation.
It was an incredible kind of information cascade. You could really see how quickly the misinformation was moving because it fit so perfectly into the story that some people wanted to tell about Reddit and its success in identifying this person. And so it was just the perfect nugget.
Last name, Mulugeta. M-U-L-U-G-E-T-A. M as in Mike, Mulugeta.
M as in Mike, Mulugeta. His name is not Mike Mulugeta, obviously. They're just using M as in Mike to make sure that they didn't confuse it with N. And I think that's kind of the level of truthiness that we were sort of experiencing in this moment, that M as in Mike, Mulugeta, can actually become this imaginary person. I've listened to the scanner recording a bunch of times. I've read all the transcripts that people made of the scanner recordings. Never heard Sunil Tripathi's name. He was never identified as a suspect. And the leap that people made from somehow somebody claims that his name appeared on the police scanner to he's been identified as a suspect in a terrorist attack on the United States is a huge leap.
Suspects 1 and 2 appear to be walking together through the marathon crowd.
How absurd it was that through a blurry image released by the FBI and numerous missing family photos or missing poster photos of Sunil, and laying them side by side, that they thought that that's how the world worked and that's how someone was guilty. Just the speculation does a lot of damage, and I think that was just completely forgotten.
Are we allowed? Oh, we didn't all come.
A lot of journalists who probably should have known better didn't sort of put down the phone. That this was negatively impacting the lives of real people just didn't match up with their experience of hitting the retweet button. The retweet button was easy, and it was there, and it was a trivial act.
What was very scary was, instead of traditional media holding the line and saying we are going to stick to corroborated truth and evidence, they kind of fell into the same vat of ups and downs that existed in the social media space, and it's very dangerous.
We could have shut down the Find the Boston Bombers subreddit earlier than it was shut down. We also could have stepped in and said something. We could have, perhaps that would have helped. Us as the people running the site, stepping in and just warning people as human beings, saying, hey, be careful.
That's really what we're talking about, right? Reminding people in that moment where they're just clicking, click, send, that they are a human being, that the person on the other side's a human being, and that this is real.
You're not just talking to your friends anymore. You're potentially talking to the world.
I thought about all night if Sunil were alive, and we thought he was, or we hoped he was, what impact that could have on him. And to me, that's the ultimate obscenity of the whole thing. He was precarious. He was fragile. He wasn't even alive.
10 years from now, someone looking and asking the question, who was Sunil Tripathi, this is going to be a part of the story. And that's just downright unfortunate, that was not part of his story. This is a story told about him. It wasn't a story of him.
No, once I realized what had happened with the Tripathi family, I sent them a message on their Facebook page just to apologize as a, I don't know, it seemed like, however small, the right thing to do.
I think there are messages to be learned about how we treat each other in a bigger society, and how, in a time of trauma and tragedy, we don't run to accuse and to threaten, but we run to find the truth and to create justice.
I actually promised them that nothing can happen to Sunil as long as I'm alive. I didn't know how serious this could be. I had a couple of times talked about, how he felt, that could he ever hurt himself, and he would smile, and his big smile, and pretty much say no.
I struggled a lot in the last year in coming up with things to talk to him about, because I always in the back of my head knew that I should talk to him about his health and things that he should do in his life, but I never wanted that to be the only thing carrying our relationship.
Ravi, I'm impressed. Look at the roses.
Yeah, I know.
With Sunil, it became very clear that what was happening to him was bigger than his capacity to overcome it. And the one thing that we didn't realize is we did not know how real suicide risk is.
That's not good enough. We have to realize that the risk is always there.
The list of students over the years that I have known that have suffered depression who are no longer alive is too long. I have a feeling Sunil himself may not really deeply have appreciated how much his life was at risk.
It's hard for me to say suicide. It's just hard. But the part of that that's really hard for me to say is someone committed suicide, because I really see he was a victim. He didn't do it. He was a victim. He was a victim of his depression.
Do you want? When we couldn't protect him, and we knew that we couldn't protect him, it was just about how do we figure out how to take care of each other. We couldn't reach him, and there are a lot of other people who can't feel reached right now, or who aren't being reached.
Before we start eating, I just wanted to say a word that I'm so pleased that we're all here around the table. And I'm thinking of Sunil. Maybe just take a moment to think about Sunny.
They actually did families. We have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it might have been in Ohio. Yeah.
When you go through something very intense together, you get very connected very quickly. We were connected because we had a mission. We had a mission. I just wish it had ended differently.
I always wish that he would have picked up the phone that night instead of walking out the door.